too late.
My only regret is that I didn't press them fast enough to get that in the recording.
Oh.
I was hesitating in case someone said something that I would have to edit out later, but it would be live on the stream.
I was the someone. I'm putting that out there.
Yeah.
It's not always been you.
But I was the someone in this case.
Oh, you should have heard me when this chat room was just me and Crash.
This is also true. But we are currently live. Hello and welcome to Critical Recovery. This is a 5th edition homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign. My name is Crash. Speaking fast, I don't know what you're talking about. Tonight I'm joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Chris, Ellie, Eo, Jen, Cindy. Arshbeth is hanging out in chat. And what happened last week?
I don't know, but that hurt my head.
Last week we found out the god.
Said.
Last week we found out the god we were working for was really planning on sacrificing us. So then we're like, okay, murder time.
Oh yeah, God murder! I forgot about that.
Right. We went to the library to talk to a giant flaming skull who had books for us.
To be fair, it was a regular-sized flaming skull.
Well, it seemed larger with all the flames. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and the horrible Harabin, Nagpa person, who was like half vulture, half human, is now just human. Okay, maybe 10% vulture. He's got a very large nose. And there was some discussion about how exactly you would go after Argonia, and it was decided that Terish, Rhine's spiritual companion, might be someone to consult with, perhaps ask for favors, ask for guidance, ask to help. So Rhyme is going to sleep on it. So you can all press the long rest button.
Okay.
I still say we should go for whatever the god equivalent version of slipping them some poison while you're pretending you're flirting with them, but whatever. As long as they're dead, I'm okay.
Well, even then, it's good to have a celestial being on your side. And a celestial being that was created by a literal god of fighting for just causes might be ideal. So
you would say.
So I might say. I might be lying, but so I might say. So with that said, you are all aware that you are dreaming. You are also all aware that you are in the same place, which is odd for dreams. Oh,
Are
definitely
we in the
new.
tavern again? 'Cause
You
I
are not
dislike
in a
that
tavern. You are not in a tavern. It looks like you are in the courtyard of a castle. Zuda knows where you are.
Yes.
Okay, why are we here?
I would imagine because Somna wants to speak to us.
To all of us.
It is somewhat unusual, yes.
Okay, so what they want.
Well, there
Fine.
are a
Guess
large
we
set
don't
of
have a choice.
there are a large set of double doors in front of you that look like they would lead further into the keep of the castle, and they are slightly ajar.
Unless anyone stops Ryan, they're just going to start in.
As soon as you get close to the doors, you hear sound of combat. Mostly the sound of something large hitting something slightly squishy.
All right, then. Let's see what it is.
Okay.
Gorga will at her closest be at least 10 feet behind Ryan, but otherwise...
I usually assume 30 feet.
Yeah.
But if you want to be that close, I will allow it.
Morley's
No,
just going to
30's
follow
fine.
along. 30 is fine. Okay.
Okay, well, I laughed, so if Gorga doesn't have inspiration, Gorga has inspiration. Ryan bursts through the double doors and finds Terish there, wielding a warhammer and soundly beating a tiefling into a bloody pulp.
What is happening here?
Okay, but...
Does
what?
the tiefling look like Mo?
How would you know?
We haven't met Mo.
Oh, right, that's a different game,
Yeah, it's
sorry.
a different game. We have in other games, but
The
not this one.
tiefling looks like a bloody pulp at this point. At least one of their horns is broken off very close to the base. They're holding a hand up to try to block the warhammer. That is having the effect that one would expect by trying to block a warhammer with your arm. Several of the things are bent in weird places. Terish is yelling things like, "Interloper! Kidnapper! What have you done with Rhine?"
Nothing, I'm right here. Unless that's Somnia. Zuda, I am assuming that's not one of your god's, people.
It's not someone I've met before.
So, probably not who brought us here.
The tiefling
Also-
spits out a tooth.
No, I assure you, that is definitely not Somna. Somna has a habit of not manifesting as a thing. They're more of an experience.
This is true.
Not one of Somna's.
Oh, no, he's not one of Somna's either.
And the voice, by the way, that you're hearing is clearly my gnome voice, as
Yeah,
you have all heard
Yes,
before.
I'm like, that's
So
not
this
the
is-
tiefling.
That was not the tiefling. No, this is a rather resplendently dressed gnome with a beard that appears to be made of gold. And there's
Oh, no.
gems all over the place in their outfit and in their hair. And they are sitting next to a throne. They're not sitting on the throne. They're sitting next to it, smoking a pipe.
Nice to meet you. I'm Garl Glittergold. Perhaps you've heard of me?
The player size.
None of you have heard of me.
No, but I...
Should I make a
I'm new to
religion
this.
check?
You can make a religion check if you want to.
I would like to get in on that.
Oh, that glitters is not gold.
16.
26.
No, wait, that should have been an 18 for reasons.
Okay. So Talia definitely knows who
Or a
Garl
19.
Glittergold is. Garl is a god of gnomes who exists on more than one world. Circulus is one of them. This is also why Rhine is aware, because Rhine, considering their personal experiences, is a little more up to date on certain deities that have come over from other worlds and assumed pantheons of their own. Garl is considered one of the better usurpers in that he actively tried to import the gnomish deities that were already on Circulus into his own pantheon as opposed to absorbing their portfolios. This is rare for the deities that have come over. Even the quote-unquote good deities that came over tended to absorb the deities that were here. Garl did not.
Yeah, I've heard of you. I have no idea what's going on, but I'll hear you out. Tarish, this seems like a misunderstanding. Please, can we stop the murder?
As you wish. And Teriush goes to drop the warhammer and holds it over the tiefling briefly before moving it to the side and letting go and letting it land to the ground next to the tiefling.
And I'm not really here for you to hear me out. I was invited as a courtesy. You are, after all, in my city. Well, this is not my city, but your physical forms are currently in my city. Let's put it that way.
I figured that was what you meant, yes.
And FYI, she's not here as a courtesy.
And Garl doesn't point at a person. Garl points at a collection of ravens that are currently up in the rafters.
She's here because she's furious.
She usually is.
Oh, I've caught her on good days. This isn't one of them.
What is she furious about?
You tell me.
I mean, I could give you a list of what my guesses are, and that would still be a few pages long.
Okay, so
The tiefling spits out another tooth.
Tarish is
Oh.
here because they're with me, I guess.
The
You're here
Raven
'cause
Queen
this
is
your
here.
city. The Raven Queen's here. We're in Somnia's domain because of... Morley? Do you think that,
Whoever you made your pact with will show up and assist.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Actually, I'm asking
Insight
if
check.
my friend just hit your patron with a hammer.
I'm not a patron.
I would like to insight check the I don't know.
Okay. I don't know what I need to do for that, or if I do anything.
21. I rolled a
Okay.
21. You need to roll either persuasion or deception, depending on which one applies, and beat a 21.
Okay. I won't tell you which one I roll, but I'll give you the number it comes
I'm
out to.
closing the rolling thing so I don't see which one you're doing.
I have rolled an 11. It doesn't matter which one it is.
Well, that was okay. Well,
Yeah.
were you
I don't know
being
what the-
honest? That's all it means then.
Well, it doesn't matter at this point, because if it was
The
persuasion,
deception, I would know if it was.
you got it.
Anyway, I have an 11, so that's whatever that comes out to be, I suppose.
That means I know if you're lying or not. Or you're lying.
Okay. No.
Okay.
No.
Still
I've
don't
never
trust
lied-
Morley
I
at
have
all.
never
I
lied
still
to
don't
any
trust
of them.
Morley at all.
I assure you, if I was a patron in the warlock sense, I would not currently be in my current state.
Oh. I'm going to go over to the tiefling and see if there's anything I can do to help.
Okay. As you are walking over, you notice that the tiefling is healing rather quickly. Like, the horn that got broken off is growing back. The blood is fading. The bones are snapping back into place.
That is not normal.
No,
We're
that is
in a
not
dream world.
Oh, this is true. I forget about this. We are here so often. I mean, not here, but, you know. Well, I'm glad that you are okay in some way.
Okay, in a manner of speaking.
maybe.
That still hurt a lot. As I was saying, as a warlock patron, I'm definitely not one. As the head of a family, by that definition, I am.
Do I recognize this?
Oh, yes, you do.
Okay.
It's your dad.
I give him the biggest hug.
He hugs back just as hard.
I'm very
Yes,
confused now.
I haven't said. Okay, so when we were done hugging after not seeing each other for a while, I turned to everyone and say, "Everyone, this is my father."
I am so sorry.
What?
A
Why?
pleasure
He's
to make your
wonderful.
acquaintance.
He seems to be in a dream world where he gets beaten the crap out of and then revived and beaten the crap out of again.
Well, we
That's-
don't know this has happened more than once, honestly, but he is okay.
No, there was no reviving process. It was just a continuous amount of pummeling for what seemed like hours.
I am so sorry.
Why did that happen?
I'm a tiefling.
Well, okay, I understand this much. Yes.
This being here, your name is Terry? Terriish. Terriish is a celestial being. I showed up where they were expecting an Aasimar. One could understand the
A bit
confusion.
rude.
Yes, well, all things considered, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones, especially with the stakes at hand, which is why I was invited.
I am sorry for the trouble to both of
So,
you.
are you both her father? Sorry, his father and patron?
No,
No,
I'm
no.
I'm head of the family. I'm the oldest male in the family, so I'm the patron in that regard. But I'm a
Not-
bard,
Yes.
not a
Not-
deity.
But there's so many. Okay, still so many questions about you, Molly.
Well, what do you want to know? I'm not right here.
None of it makes sense. You're the only warlock I've ever met who has no idea who their patron is. So you're either lying or you're. I don't get it.
Oh, I know who the patron is. You asked if they were going to show up. I have no idea if they're going
I have asked you before who your patron is, and you said you didn't know.
I don't remember this.
Can
Was
we
it during
get to the
battle?
matter at
Because-
hand? Some of us are very busy right now.
Oh, yes, okay.
We're having a discussion when we're done.
Item number 1. There's no very nice way to say this. Why were you all acting so foolish?
In regards to what exactly?
Yeah, in which instance
You
were we acting
decided
foolish?
to kill Argonia, and I'm not blaming you for that, mind you. I'm willing to help on that regard. While a warlock of Argonia was in the room with you, and you began talking strategy.
I mean, he didn't seem to object, and Argonia plans to kill us, so fair play.
No, she didn't have to object. As a warlock of Argonia, she had a portion of Argonia's power with her. Are you able to follow along now?
Just like the Raven Queen hears everything I do, Sargoniel, I've heard everything. That's a fair point. We're not that bright. Oh, son of a...
And this may be a side question, but do we have our entire souls, or am I correct in assuming that that's part of what was taken from us to make room for the God Void?
I have been told you're not all there.
Right. But does that mean a part of our soul is missing? That's kind of a deal breaker. I want to know this.
That's something that I don't have the answer to.
Of course not.
Of course not. I'm a mortal just like you are. No, I'm here because while I am a mortal, I have resources you don't. And I have motivation. Because part of this is my fault.
How is part of this your fault?
Because I missed you.
Oh,
When you died, it affected me a lot. More so because I've been gone for so long. I'm a businessman, and I don't always deal with the most reputable of individuals. And sometimes there are people who think they're doing the right thing, but wish to strike out at me. And sometimes they think it's a good idea to go after family and friends. And I know this from experience, so I wasn't there. I couldn't even console your mother, because I was afraid something would happen to her.
How is my mother? Do you have any idea if she's...
She's not okay. Physically, she's fine. Her every need is met. I've seen to that. Except for she's grieving. Very much so. As was I. So, as a businessman with connections, I called in a significant number of favors that allowed me to contact certain people in powerful positions, which allowed me to participate in a ritual, and long story made slightly shorter, I made a deal with Argonia.
Oh, okay, so this explains why I am still here.
Why you are back. The terms seemed almost too good to be true. You would come back, perhaps not in the same body, but you would be back. The part of you that was you would be back, and that would be sufficient. And in return, all you'd have to do is go on one mission, to complete one errand for Argonia, and then the slate would be clean. And it turns out Argonia did what so many people have accused me of doing. And I am furious.
What should we...
I've never killed a god before.
So
First time for everything.
So you're saying we should kill the god, yes?
Let's try. It'll be fun.
I'm saying gods have long memories. And if Argonia is able to bring people back from realms that are not hers, I intend to outlive her. So
Okay,
what
then.
is your plan?
I don't know that we completely formed a plan yet.
Well, that's good, because everything you have so far, we might have to scrap. What with the planning it in front of Argonia and all.
Well, we didn't know that part.
In fairness, we probably knew that part, but we didn't think
I
about
didn't.
that part
I
because
did
we
not
trusted. We trust Father, but not the person who gave her powers.
I mean, gods can see things they shouldn't have any right to see, so I just kind of always assume they're watching.
Oh, they're not always watching. You get private moments.
Also, it's kind of like looking at a crowd. You can be watching the whole crowd, but you're not going to notice every individual person and what they specifically are doing.
Mm-hmm.
That is worthy of taking note.
Yeah, I kind of assumed we were all being watched all the time anyway.
The only time you really get the one-on-one is with spells like Divine Intervention or Commune or something like that.
But
The tiefling sits down on the other side of the throne. So neither Garl nor the tiefling are sitting on the throne itself.
Okay.
Who's the big seat for?
I assume Somna, this is their realm. In any case, it's not mine, so I'm not taking it.
So tempted. So tempted.
Well, she's not saying this out loud, but Gorga just rolled a religion check and got a 12 on that Somna.
So tempted.
I see that
Right.
look on your face. I wouldn't recommend it.
Who are
I
you
know.
talking to right now?
Oh, they're talking to me. It'd be a terrible idea, but it'd be fun.
Oh, yes, I know. It would be very fun, and in my younger days, I might be right there with you. But best not to annoy the allies, especially
No, I know.
when the ally is a literal god.
I know.
I was always working on the assumption that us being touched the way we weren't getting any privacy. Argonia knowing doesn't change what I've said.
I've been assured that Argonia doesn't have any view of this particular realm. Somna's quite good at that, being their domain and all. That
know,
might
I
also
mean-
be...
I figured that part probably. I meant what I said down there. I said, knowing we were probably watched. All right, I thought it for the wrong reason, but I stand by what I said. If we've got God stuff stuck to us, and if that God stuff can unabsorb a god without killing us all.
Well, take it from a different god. There's nothing of Argonia in you. So, in that regard, Argonia wasn't looking through your eyes at anything. They were probably using Fava for that.
So you're saying we should fly somewhere, kick Fava off the plane, and then continue planning to kill God?
Player is okay with this. Talia would not agree.
I don't think you're going to need to worry about Fava for much longer.
Why do you think?
Garl pulls the pipe out of his mouth and points up at the rafters.
Okay, I look up.
You see all the ravens up there.
Okay. Think maybe I understand a little bit.
Wouldn't be the first time for Thava, so I'm told. Last time she entered my city, she was following a different deity altogether.
I will say, and I look up at the ravens, it's not her fault this time. She was manipulated, just like the rest of us have been.
And that's why she's getting this chance. She'd be telling you the same thing if she was manifesting.
Oh, I know.
I've always been more talkative than her.
It's not always a good thing.
No, it's got me into trouble plenty of times. Got me out of trouble plenty of times, too. If you were a gnome,
please don't
you
put that
might
thought
have
in
been
my
one of
head.
mine.
Please don't put that thought in my head.
Garl Glittergold is a trickster deity.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Talia has that spirit in her. She might, if she'd been a gnome, she might have gone down that path.
She might have entirely. If I was going to make Talia as a gnome, I would have spoke to you about him 100%. Not even going to deny it.
I'm happy with the choices you've made. Don't get me wrong.
Gorgia has an elf who is now currently a water genasi, already has enough identity issues. She does not want to think about what it would be like to be a gnome.
Valid. Quite valid.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we've got god bits or something stuck to us.
And a desire to
Growing
use
and-
that for something other than the original intention.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you intend to use it? The way I see it, you could make a new god, resurrect an old one, or empower an existing one. They all have their benefits and drawbacks.
I mean, the simplest answer would seem to be just to create a new god of, like, big corn or something, you know. Something that helps a lot of people but is generally harmless.
Why not empower one of our deities if we could do that, if that was an option?
I don't trust deities. And I think
Okay, but
recent
you
events
literally
have given me reason enough to.
You've literally just said make a new one. That's another
Yes.
one that you wouldn't trust. What's the point in that?
Because
At
it
least
would be a
between-
deity of corn.
How do we know there isn't one already somewhere?
My point is, you make the deity something that literally can't hurt anyone.
So, if you've ever been to Coomridge, there is, in fact, a deity similar to what you speak of. That would be Marisha, goddess of the harvest. You don't want to mess with her.
See, there is one already.
How about a goddess of peas, then?
That would also be Marisha.
Harvest, right?
Fine.
You probably
Whatever
get
you
along with
folk
her sister
decide.
Schema, goddess of planning and plots.
I'm not going to touch that pun with a 10-foot pole.
The tiefling has a very smug grin on his face, like he knows you all heard the pun. Even if you're not acknowledging it, he knows you know it exists. You have made that insight check.
Morley is smiling.
Do I need to spell it out here?
You might have to, unfortunately. They seem to be rather stuck in their ways right now.
We do not need to make a new god. I really don't think that's a good idea anyway. That my family tree does not need to be more complicated than it already is. Or more divine.
And while more power is fun, I'm staying out of this. I'm a neutral party. I was only here as a courtesy.
I disconnected.
Argonia was gonna get her brother unabsorbed, unschlorped.
That's a very weird way to describe it. I don't think I like that word.
I'm glad it's not catching on. I don't like it.
No, you'd have to be like a fiend to think that's a fun word to use.
Okay, so your plan is the unslorping. I can get behind that, just so long as we still live.
Did you literally just use the word to try to annoy a god?
Yes.
At least
I
he's
like
honest.
you. If you're ever looking for a patron deity, look me up.
What did I miss while I disconnected for like 2 minutes there?
Arguing mostly.
Okay.
Ryan having to spell it out for everyone that we're not going to create a god of corn.
Yes.
We are not
Yeah, the fact we have to
creating.
spell that out is terrifying.
We are not creating a god of farming. We are not.
Why? Continue, sorry.
We are not empowering a god that's around. We're unslorping somebody. And I know who we're unslorping. And it is frankly awkward and complicated in ways that nobody here except me and Terish has any need to hear about. But if Joa can be unabsorbed, then I owe that to them as a person, at least.
Right.
Terry has been
I'd
quiet.
say you
until-
don't owe them anything, unslorping or not, but yeah, as long as we unslorp someone, get even with whatever gods think we're in their dead, and then go about our lives, I can get on this plan.
So, question then: what would be easier and more efficient? Doing whatever we're going to do with this other person, or empowering one of our current deities? What would be quicker and easier and more efficient to make sure that Argonia doesn't get what she wants? Genuine question to the room, because if it's going to take more time and more risk of her getting what she wants to do the unsloping, as it is sadly catching on, why are we doing that, and why not just empowering one of our current gods?
Because I will not participate in any other option.
There's
Oh,
also
so
the
it's
matter
again
of,
what Ryan wants and not what everyone else agrees to.
There's also the matter of whether or not the deity is interested in that power. Certain sources are more tainted than others. It can
Oh, look, an actual
affect you.
scientific answer instead of an emotional one.
Oh, no, I'm being very emotional right now. Don't get me wrong. But there's a reason why gods tend to only absorb the portfolio of other gods that are quite similar to them. It doesn't change us as much. You can use what you've absorbed to bring back Joa. There is a risk that it might change what Joa is or was.
Well, I don't care about Joa, so if it just gets us out of the game, then I'm good.
And if Joa ends up being as bad as a Kraken
That would be a problem.
or Malathomax,
Then I'll make sure to have an exit route planned.
Still want to do this, Ryan, if it turns Joa into potentially enemy number one? Now that you have that information, rather than making the decision beforehand?
Terry,
I mean, does the Raven Queen want to unslorp the energy we've already gathered?
You hear a
Because she-
lot of
we haven't
feathers ruffling
actually-
above you.
Is that a
We
yes
haven't
or a
actually
no?
asked anyone. We haven't actually taken any information or looked anything up.
So, to answer your question about Her Majesty on high up there.
And there's more feathers ruffling.
Yes, I know. It was a term of endearment. You are literally up higher than the rest of us, and you are the Raven Queen. It's in your name. It's literally your... Ugh, never mind. She doesn't take jokes very well.
No, she doesn't. I'm probably one of her worst.
She mentioned that, actually. I'm quite impressed.
I get the job done.
I agree. The Raven Queen's interest in this is restoring the balance. She doesn't want the power. She's got plenty of power. That's not an issue. Most of us that exist on more than one world do tend to have a lot of it. And the Raven Queen's on almost more than I am, actually.
Raven Queen's on most, if not all, the worlds. She yes. Death happens everywhere, dear.
Yes, well, there's other gods and goddesses of death. The Raven Queen is not on all of them. I'm not on all of them. There's some that are locked off to themselves that only have locally sourced homegrown deities. But that's irrelevant to this conversation.
So for the unslorping, we're still looking at just resurrecting the god, because none of the gods that any of us follow, because I don't follow any, seem to be interested.
That gets to the point. Yeah, that's pretty much it. At least none of the gods that are currently represented here.
I turn and look to Morley once again.
What? What are you staring at me for?
We need to know who your patron is and if they would potentially be interested or willing to be trusted to have this schlopping. I hate this name. We need to come up with a new name.
It is a terrible word the more I hear it, actually, yes.
We tend to use the phrase absorb the portfolio of.
That I prefer that.
That's a mouthful, so I'll just stick with unschlorping.
See, that sounds more like a business transaction of some kind. So just...
I mean, it technically is. It's god energy. It is technically a
yes.
business transaction for them.
Yes, okay.
Except
so...
that one deity ceases to exist in its current form, and possibly both of them do.
Why'd you have to make it so...
So the schlorping.
Why do you think I don't do it?
Question. Okay, Molly, question.
Yes.
Who is your deity?
Funny story, actually. When I...
Oh, no.
when I was first...
Morley's father is just putting his face in his hand right now. He is the Picard gif.
When I first was becoming a warlock, I actually asked my father to be my patron, but he did not become my patron.
Right.
Because I'm a tiefling, not a being of immense power.
Yes, but I did not understand this at the time, you know. I thought the patron was the smartest person you knew, which is you.
And I continue to be flattered by that. But at the same time...
Molly.
Yes.
Dear, darling.
Yes.
Lovely Molly. Who'd you make a pact with?
Asmodeus.
I'm out.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously, yes, you ask. I've never lied to any of you.
I'm
That's
out.
my patron.
Nope. I am not dealing with the Nine Hells. Nope.
No one said you have to.
No one can answer at all. No.
I am...
And as far as I
Very
can tell,
confused.
I think Asmodeus has been staying out of most of this, with the exception of maybe one dream. I'm not sure. Was that you that day saving me from the drowning, Father? No? Never mind.
That was me.
It was you. Ah, that is why you sounded so familiar. This all makes sense now. This is wonderful.
I have...
My head cannon is just tilted in a way that is terrifying.
That was the evilest Jen laugh I have ever heard, and it is glorious.
Oh, I have
Morley's
worse ones.
father, is Morley's father Asmodeus, and he's gaslighting Morley?
No. Asmodeus is someone very different.
That's what he would want you to think if he's gaslighting you.
This
I
is
have
the
seen
whole
Asmodeus.
Life of Brian thing where he's the Messiah. I'm not the Messiah. Only the Messiah would deny his divinity. Okay, I am the Messiah. He admits it.
Oh my gosh, no.
This is why Gorga doesn't usually deal with gods. It's
And
just a mess.
Morley's dad is
Because-
continuing to facepalm. He has not stopped facepalming this entire time, by the way.
Anyway, Tara, you're the one who actually served them. You're the... are you willing to risk it?
You know the answer to that question already. I know why you still ask it. I am a being of Joa, created by Joa's will, maintained by Joa's will. I have continued for reasons I do not understand after Joa's passing, but my will, my free will, is limited. I am bound to service to Joa, and if it costs me my existence for Joa to return, I will give it gladly.
I wish I could say the same thing. I do wish. And Ryan hugs Teriash.
Teriash hugs back awkwardly.
Well, this is a very touching moment, and I'm all for devious plots that put people in their place. So while I'm not going to be taking an active role in any of this, it looks like you've got the start of a plan.
So step one is murder/ditch Fava, then figure out how to kill a god.
Fava's going to be an
Fava,
ally
I'm
of
saying
yours,
that. Yes, we're not killing her.
especially if what I think is going to happen tonight actually happens.
There's feathers ruffling above again.
And Her
Would
Majesty
I know
on high
what any
is-
of these? Would I know what any of these ruffling feathers mean?
Give me a religion check.
Okay. 9.
Nope. With a 9, you just know, oh, she's saying something. But after that most recent Her Majesty on High comment, a bit of raven poop lands on Garl's head.
I'm swapping my dice.
And Garl pulls out a handkerchief and starts wiping. It doesn't wipe well.
Yes. Well, your best bet is to find some type of item of power to siphon the energy from each of you. The extra stuff, not the parts that are you, one would hope. Probably. This is not something I've personally done myself. Through Teriush, and through Teriush's bond with Joa, Joa could possibly come back, hopefully good as new, possibly stronger, possibly weaker, possibly different. Things get weird when you're talking about deities. We don't always follow the laws of the universe. Well, we do, but we follow different laws, and they're more carved in silly putty, which is something you don't know about, than they are carved in stone. So you're gonna need an item of power.
And that's probably why I was invited.
Oh.
Oh, do you have a map to one?
Yes, I do in fact have a map to my home. I've been collecting them. There's all kinds, you know. Sometimes I sell them, sometimes I buy them. It's how I've made my fortune.
I told you, my father is a wonderful business.
It's also why some people decide that they want to strike out against me. After all, I've got more wealth than some dragons. I'd argue more than most dragons, in fact.
Do you have a map to that?
We can talk business later. In fact, I do.
Okay, so it sounds like you've got an item of power, so you just need to go to Morley's dad's house, hang out in his basement for a while.
We have a nice rec room.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And now you just need some type of ritual to transfer the power. Do you know anyone who'd be able to perform such a ritual?
Okay, so we'll put that under problem number 2.
The ravens are completely silent. Samna hasn't spoken up once.
No help there either. Okay.
I might... Well, I don't know a ritual myself, but I might know a guy who knows a guy.
That's better than 0, so go ahead and point us to this guy who knows a guy who may know a guy.
I'll take care of that. How about you just make your way to where I will be when we try to get this all done?
Where are you going?
Not too far away from the baronies. A bit further north. Plantain. If you can
Okay.
get to Plantain, I'll find you. I'll be there before you get there.
Okay, we will meet again in Plantain.
That's uncomfortably vague, but given the circumstances, I can live with it.
Well, I'm currently on the other side of the planet right now, so it'll take me a bit, but I can get there.
Okay.
Incidentally, if anyone's interested in purchasing a mechanical dragon, I've just acquired one.
I think you should ask Thava about that one.
That raises more questions than it answers.
It would be a very long story that involves a collection of kobolds and elves in space.
Okay, I know kobolds are the little lizard people that tend to be kind of chaotic, but you're telling me they're space elves now? How long have I been dead?
The space elves have been around longer than this world's been a thing, apparently. And they want to steal the moon.
Why would
Why
you want to
does
do that?
everybody
Again.
want to steal the moon?
Because
Also, why do you allow your kobolds to run around and run your planets? Like, seriously, this world is doomed.
Talia, you are a
Yes.
wonderful person, and it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. But having met kobolds, do you, at any point, see them as beings that any particular body of individuals would be able to control?
No, that's a fair point.
I mean, it's a kobold's fault that none of them know who Tiamat is.
Oh, yes, that was a kobold, wasn't it?
Yes, I actually got her autograph the other day. It was a highlight of the occasion. So, when you wake up, my suggestion is you have a nice long chat with Thava, find out who her patron is at that moment, and assuming you get a favorable answer, hightail it to Plantain.
For safety's sake, I'm still on camp. Let's kick Fava off the boat, but
You're
yeah,
going
I'm
to
not
need
gonna.
her.
Okay, if you say so.
Darling, you need to remember, Father's been as equally lied to here.
And when it comes to going up against gods, this is not her first rodeo.
Okay.
Sometimes your greatest enemy is the one pretending to be your best friend.
Right.
All right. Well, before we go, I want another hug. And I give my father a big hug.
He returns it.
Morley is happy.
It is a lot less awkward than the Terry-ish hug.
Of course. We're family.
To be fair, in Ryan's opinion, so is Terish.
Ah, I see. Okay. Well, maybe Morley is just huggable or something.
Morley is a lot more huggable.
Okay. And in the middle of that hug, you wake up.
Oh.
And you're underwater.
No.
And that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Slightly shorter game. We'll find out what happens next time. I have been Crash, and I have been joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Chris, Ellie, Io, Jen, and Cindy. Archbeth is hanging out in chat. Is there anything that anyone wants to plug?
Is she drowning us?
Yeah.
Gorga technically can't drown, but that doesn't mean she's not panicking. Because that is how she died the first time.
Oh my god. Morley can breathe underwater.
Talia can't.
Yeah, Morley can as well.
Well, you'll find out what's going on next time.
Can't.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Thava's not so good at breathing underwater either. Is there anything that anyone wants to plug?
My website is bookofgen.net. It's got a bunch of gaming stuff on there and a wide variety of other things, including some podcasts. And I'm also the host of the Shattered Soulstone podcast.
I do a nerd video game podcast called Azeroth Coast to Coast. Find us at AzerothCTC.com. We do lots of video game stuff, some Dungeons & Dragons stuff, and we're trying to stream a little more on our Twitch channel. So, yeah.
Eo's Mom writes books. Elizabeth-McCoy.com.
Yeah.
And we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/cogwheelgaming. Help us keep the lights on, along with other illustrious patrons, including Chris, Ellie, Eric, Janadalak, Mickey, Shanshen, and Walter. And until next time, this is Crash saying, okay, so long as Argonia doesn't strike out against them right now, we should be able to get everything together in time. Good night, everybody.